Good evening and welcome to our live crafting session this evening. It is Thursday the 25th of July 2024. My name is Jenny McCormack. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire, and that's here in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me today. This week our chosen stamp set is Poised Peony, and I have a stamp set of the week that I choose and select each week. And if you order this particular stamp set through me, either directly or via email or online, then I will send you the components for any of the cards that I make live. This is also our coffee and card design. Hi Caroline. Oh, and hi Lynn, twice in 1 week. I'm very impressed. So let me show you the card that we made for coffee and card. It's this one here, and you can see this on Monday. I did a live on my Facebook page, and this is also on YouTube. Just look for Jemini Crafts with a J. And on this one I stamped the small flower, this one here, the little peony bud, all the way over some backing paper. I also added it to the back of the envelope, no naked envelopes. And then this is the middle-sized one, which I stamped in Pretty in Pink, and then I've used Pretty in Pink for the colouring in and also for the background. So a fairly straightforward card. I think I added the stamp on the inside as well, and this would be suitable for any occasion really. It could be a wedding, it could be a thank you, a sympathy, a birthday. Just change the colours accordingly. And this is for Caroline this evening, because we were talking earlier in the week about heat embossing and not having done some for a while. Hi Fran, thanks for joining us. Let me just see what Lynn has said. She managed to get the notifications back on, so it tells her when I'm going live. That's always handy, and you can do that on my your connection to my Facebook page. So what I thought I'd do this evening is the ultimate card that requires no colouring. I'm going to go black and white. So, and I'm going to try and be clever, which could actually backfire, I'll be honest. And I'm going to try and do one in black and one in white, and I won't say at the same time, but alongside each other. So I've got a black tag and a white tag. I've got a black base card and a white base card, and some ribbon which is black and white. I've got another piece that I'll cut up for the other one, because I just decided to do both at the very last minute. Black and white is really classic. Some people love black and white cards. I do like to do them every so often, and I thought this is quite a perfect one to do, because where you have line drawings, that tends to emboss particularly well. So my plan is very similar to this, in that we're going to heat emboss on this one with white powder, the same on this one. I'm not going to bother with black powder, although I do have it for the other one, because you won't see the effect on screen. I will just use some black ink, but obviously you can do that if you have black embossing powder. Let me see. Oh, that's okay, Caroline, she's saying thank you. So I have to keep getting out. I haven't got my phone right next to me. So let's start with the backgrounds first. And I can't quite decide whether to use the small one or maybe I'll use this middle size one. This one hasn't actually been cut to size because what I'm going to do is emboss it and then decide which bits I want to trim out. So I think I'm going to use the middle sized flower for this. And I'm going to stamp this one first. That will just give me a little practice run. So I hope everybody is keeping well. As demonstrators, we were able to see the new Christmas catalogue last night, so I have a team get together this evening where we're looking through the new catalogue together. Some really fun new stuff in there, new papers, new stamps, new dies, new ribbons, so I really look forward to being able to share that with you in due course. So let's get stamping. Let's do the background first, and I've got a black ink. I don't tend to use StazOn. I use either VersaFine or Memento ink, and I haven't decided. I think I'll probably do this in portrait because of the shape of the tags. They're quite big, and I'm going to rotate this round in different positions. So I'm going to do this fairly quickly, and then I'm going to do the same thing in Versamark on here, and I'd love to know at the end which is your preference, white on black or black on white. So let's bring this one down. So I'm just going to alternate them. Now some of this is going to be covered up with our tag, so I'm not worrying unduly. I think I'm going to keep that in that format though. Okay. It's a lovely, it comes out as a lovely line drawing. Just going to put this here. Has a fear of putting my black ink all over it. Okay, now when I come to do the black, you won't see very clearly the watermark effect because the ink is clear. So it is really a stunning stamp. And the good thing is there's absolutely no colouring. Of course, you could pick out a single flower and colour it in, and that is always quite effective as a background. But just look and see how crisp that is. Okay, so that is that one. I think what I'm going to do is stamp, while I've got the black ink out, is stamp the tag and that, and then I'm going to do the whole thing in reverse. Now the question is, shall I have that one or shall I have the larger flower? My gut feel was the larger flower to differentiate it from the back. This just happened to be a tag I had to hand, but the other tag I've cut from a new set of tags that's available. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. So let's just ink this up. And I was going to stamp onto this piece, but I think if I use this larger one, I'm not going to have much room. So I might have to do that on a small tag or something. There we go. So this is the one that's going to go onto that layer. Okay, and that's our white layer with the black ink. So now what we're going to do is pop those away. I'm going to do the sentiments at the end. And what I didn't get out ready was my cleaning cloth and also my Versamark ink. Let's just clean these two off. So I hope you're well. It's been quite a nice bright day here today, although it's definitely cooler this evening. We've had a little shower or two of rain and managed to get a good walk in with my dogs. Right, so here's my Versamark ink and I've cleaned my blocks off. So I'm going to use this middle-sized one again. So I want a direct comparison really. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is find my embossing buddy, which is right on my desk. I just can't see it. And I got it out ready. Got my heat gun. Okay. Let me grab another one. There we go. So this will stop the static attracting the powder, and it will stop it sitting on this card and then getting heated up. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to find my little black tag, and you want to handle this the smallest amount possible, because the more you handle it, the oil from your fingers, even if you've just washed your hands, can just add that little bit of static. Okay, so I've just coated those two. Let's do this one first then. So I'm going to use Versamark ink. Sorry about the reflection of the blocks. What's this one? So I've got some white embossing powder ready. So I'm going to ink this up. Obviously make sure your stamp is nice and clean. And if you've got an old Versamark pad, this is a fairly new one, you can buy the refills just to add some more ink onto it. They do get quite stained. Okay, and I'm really just going to do this in the same sort of angle as the other one. This is slightly wider tag. Okay, so pushing down, gentle pressure but firm and not rocking. Okay, so and if you can just see, if I just tilt it that way, when I add the powder, that will be much more noticeable. Let's do that before that dries up. Obviously you can colour these in, some of these. Okay, so this is the white embossing powder going over there. Just going to flick it, and I can see I've caught a little bit there of the stamp, so you can just use, if you've got a dry brush or even a little pokey tool, you want to just brush that off, because I don't want a white line showing. Okay, so that's ready for heating up. I'm just going to leave that carefully to one side, and I'm going to repeat my stamping on here, but with that middle-sized flower, peony I should say. Let me just see if anybody else has joined us in the meantime. No, we're all good. I don't think anybody's commented unless we've come to a grinding halt. And hopefully that's not the case, like it was last week. I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before. Okay, so I can see by looking at this stamp that it is nice and shiny. So and just going to turn this round a little bit. I think I will have them all sort of facing upwards, but just rotating them. Remembering to come off the edges of the card to make it look more natural rather than just stamp in the middle. You want to think of it as a window. The window, if you look outside, turn your head one way or the other, you can see further than just what's at the one position of the window. Let's add this one in, and this one, another one at the side. Now you just need to be careful when you're handling this that you don't rub the ink off before you get to adding the embossing powder, especially where you're doing it on a surface where you can't always see it. So Versamark ink is also called a watermark ink because it creates a watermark effect. So if I hold that up, just being careful, you might be able to see, oh, it's shining a little bit. There we go. So if you look at this carefully, when it's not on a video screen, it looks like it's stamped in black on black. Okay, let's add some powder. Now I use my embossing powder fairly frequently. What I would say is if you don't use it for a long time, you're much better off putting it back into its small pot, because the more air that is in there with the powder, the quicker the powder will go off. So if you're not planning to do some for a long time, just pop it back in its small holder. Again, just be careful not to smudge it. You can put this whole thing in if you want, and just make sure that you're covering everything. And the other thing is, when you've been using, certainly when I use embossing powder in classes, is it will often get contaminated with other bits, bits of dimensional, bits of odd bits of paper. I can see odd little bits in there. So if you find when you're heating it up that it's not consistent, then it may be that your powder's got contaminated. So just something else to watch out for. Okay, so just going to flip that away from the camera, and with any luck I shouldn't have any extra little specks because I use the embossing buddy. I can see a little bit at the bottom, but it may be that I will trim that off. But if I've got a brush to hand, I can just brush that off. I think that's, I don't know if that's part of the flower or not. Now you can do half of this, heat it, and then do the other half. Yes, I put my finger on that little bit there. I can see that now. So don't do as I do as I say. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to heat set this. So the trick with heat setting, let's just bring the small one in, is to start at one end, and when it gets to temperature, move it across your image. What you don't want to be doing is this waving all over. You want to get it to temperature and then move it across. So our heat tool has two settings. So the highest setting, number 2, is the one that you want to use for heat embossing. If you just want to dry something, so maybe you've stamped on vellum, then you'll want temperature number 1. And the other thing to note is when you order a heat tool is that they come with European or English plugs. just make sure, if you've ordered online and you just typed in heat tool, just make sure you've got a UK plug and not a European one. Okay, so I'm just going to start my heat tool up away from the microphone, and I'm just going to let it warm up. And then I'm going to bring it in from the right hand side. There we go. So you can see that it's going brighter on one side. I'm just going to stop that. And I hope you can see that half of that is shiny, the stalk, but the flower head is dull. I'm hoping that is showing. And that means that this has been heated and melted, but this hasn't. So if ever you have a look and see there's a dull section, that means you haven't either heated it at all or you haven't heated it enough. And if you left that, the powder would eventually come off there. It will get rubbed off. So I'm just going to do these two very quickly. And mind your fingers. So I hope you can see the difference between that one and that one. Okay. So we'll start at one end, exactly the same thing. Give you a break from the heat tool for a minute. So I think you can see on there, hopefully, the difference between this dull area here that hasn't been heated and the shinier. Obviously it depends on the light. Okay, so I'm just going to move down there, do this last little bit, and then we can put our card together. Cards. And I'm just making sure that everything is shiny, which it is. So I can see here on this edge where I put my thumb on it earlier, so that is the edge I'm going to trim down. I do find, particularly with heat embossing where you're on a dark coloured card, if you can have a larger area to start with and trim it down, because the most likely is you pinched it with your fingers or your tweezers and just rubbed a little bit of it off here, and actually there's a tiny little bit rubbed there. So let us just trim that down. So my normal measurement for this would be 10 centimetres. So So just make sure I'm cutting the right side, by 14.35. I could make it a little bit smaller. We'll have a look and see. There we go. So you'll have to tell me if you like the white on the black or the black on the white. Okay. So those are our two pieces. Let's grab, I've got some ribbon. This is black and white ribbon. Hi Cindy. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I hope you're keeping well. So I've got some of this lovely black and white ribbon. I have a feeling the black and white is retired, but we have black and vanilla. I think that is still current. So just going to thread this through. Okay, and might just tie a knot. Normally I'll do a little bit of baker's twine. Might even do, I might do a bow. We'll have a quick look and see. Now if you wanted to colour this in, you can use white watercolour pencils to lay down white foundation, and then you can colour over with coloured watercolour pencils. Yeah, I think I'll do a little bow. So there's that one. And I have got my sentiment to add. So I think what I'm going to do is do a little white sentiment with black ink on this one and then reverse this one round. I was originally going to stamp on here, but I haven't, there's not much space. And I would like a bit of a contrast. So let's do the same with this one. This is going to go on with dimensionals, and my white card is going to go on a black card base, and vice versa. So the thing is with heat embossing is take your time, don't hurry it. Once you've used your Versamark and added your powder, it will sit there quite happily until you come to heat set it. The only danger is if you leave it too long, if you're anything like me, the cat will sit on the piece of card, or the wind will knock it to the floor or something, and then it can smudge it. But certainly don't be in a hurry to actually do the embossing. Just when it comes to it, just take your time. That wasn't very sharp, was it? Okay. There we go. While I'm here, I'm just going to put them on the cards. And I've got a white inner for this one. So I think it's quite stunning. I'll just pop that layer on. If you find when you're embossing that your card curls, then just heat it from the other side for a short while. Normally they will go back, oops, down anyway. It depends on the card that you've stamped on. If it's good quality card, you should be absolutely fine. So there's that layer. Obviously you can colour that in if you don't want a pure black and white card. Yes, get it right away. I was thinking that doesn't stand very well, does it? It is Thursday, folks. It's been a busy week. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So as I say, this is 10 centimetres by 14.35 on a card base that is 10 centimetres by 10.5, sorry, by 14.85. Okay, so let's add 2 sentiments. Let me just see what I've got. If I've got anything just ready to hand in white. I might have some small. I think that's too small. Might be alright if it was just on there. This is from the Layering Leaves dies. Let me see. I've just put the stamp set away, she says. No, not layering leaves. Changing leaves. It's got some small sentiments, but that here for you is, let's have a look, see. It's quite tiny compared to my flowers. Okay, might come back to that one. Let's grab a spare piece of black card. I've got a little piece here, that would do. And I'm going to pop that on there. Could do with, I wonder if that thank you would work. Or whether that's too small. I mean, this is quite busy, isn't it? It feels like it needs to be a bit more bold. Right, thinking of you, or just a note. Do, 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 do. The wrong sort of shape. I just want one going across, so let's do thinking of you. No, let's do thank you. In both. Let me just see if there's any other comments. Oh, Cindy! Oh no! Cindy's just scored 60 cards with the wrong dimensions. That is so frustrating. Oh, bless you. I'm sure you can do some something useful with it. Okay, let's just grab the embossing body. I'm just going to trim this as a piece. So let's do Versamark first. I've used my embossing body already across there, look. There's my thank you on that one. Let's grab, oops, this really is an offcut. Here, that's going to be my black. Let's do our embossing powder on this one. Which I've now buried, of course. There we go. I don't really want to flick it up into the camera. I'll heat that little one. Make sure you turn your heat tool off afterwards at the plug, especially if you've got little animals or children around. Oops, lazy. Okay, I think unless I've got a small frame die to hand, let me just see what I've got in, whoops, Greetings of the Season. That's where the larger tag came from, this one here. So it's got this lovely die, but those I think are not really, that's not long enough, and I think the oval is too big. So I'm just going to trim them. You could use the punch, but I'm just going to trim these down because there's a lot going on. So I probably don't need any more happening. So I'm just lining this up. I don't think I stamped that particularly straight. So just using this grid line really to get that straight, and then use the grid line here. Like that. There's one, and then my alternative one. Again, I'm pretty sure that's not straight, so you can use the line of the trimmer or use a die or a punch if you've got a suitable punch. Right, just going to cut those at an angle, I think. Keep them nice and simple. Right, let's put these on with dimensionals and my little thank yous, and we're good to go. Right, only seem to have little ones to hand. It's because they're all packed, ready for coffee and card tomorrow. Okay. There we are. Just got 5 on there, 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle to support it. And I would probably still use 5 even if I was using larger ones. Now, straight or jaunty? I think jaunty with that straight. So what I'm going to do is put a dimensional on this end and then just some glue on the other. And then it supports it here, but you don't get it at an odd angle. So let's pop a little bit of glue, just using my seal, but use tape or whatever you prefer. That's that one. Oh no, that's not. Go. So I don't know if you call that black on white or white on black, and here's the alternative. So let me know your preference. I think I might just call them A and B or left and right. So this is the left, the white background. So I'll make sure I photograph them exactly like that, and then do let me know. There we go. Jaunty, or shall I do that the opposite way round? Straight, that's a jaunty. No, I'm going to do it the same. Obviously the tags are slightly different, so the same thing. I'm going to put glue at this end and then a dimensional on the edge so it can go off the edge of the tag. Oops. There we go. Oh, they seem to be disappearing off the top, don't they? Right, let's put that one like that. There we go. Sorry, they got a little bit far away. Okay, so there we have it, the ultimate non-colouring card. So this is left, right, white background, black background. Let me know if you have a preference. I'm not sure I could call it. This seems more striking with the black background, but who knows. Let me just put that white layer inside and we're all done while you're deliberating on your preferred piece. I did have a white piece cut ready. Let's see if this one would do. And this one. It's a bit too small. And I just feel I have the need to stamp that flower on there, on the inside. And then I will also stamp the flowers on the envelopes. Okay, just going to put this on there. I can't find a piece of scrap. Right. There we go. That's going to go inside this one here. Just make sure that's dry because it's quite a. This is quite a wet ink. This one. So just a light touch there. Go. Okay, so there we are, Poised Peony in black and white and white and black, whichever you prefer. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me this evening. Do let me know your preference. Now I still have 3 kits to show you. I'm really running behind showing my kits. So I will endeavour to do some lives over the weekend so that you can see some of the new kits. So thank you so much. Cindy says absolutely beautiful. Caroline says both are looking lovely. And Lynn says they're both stunning. Oh bless you. Caroline can't make a choice. So think about it. Maybe because I've got them both together, I don't know. I think this focal image stands out, whereas for this one, the background stands out. But anyway, see what you think. And Caroline, I do hope you'll have a go at some more heat embossing. Now I've given you a little reminder. Main thing is use an embossing buddy if you have one, if you're using, especially if you're using dark coloured card, but even if you're using light cards, and don't overheat it. And just let the heat gun get to temperature and then move it gently across. If you overheat it, the powder over melts and sinks back into the card and it goes dull again. So anyway, you know where I am if you have any problems. Give it a go. Thank you for joining me. I hope you like my thank you cards, and if I don't see you online, do have a great weekend. I'm off for a quick bite to eat before our team gathering, and I look forward to crafting with you again really soon. So thank you so much everyone. Take care, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are and when you are watching. Thank you so much. Bye for now.